Number 3.
All right, the board will adjourn to closed session as discussion, review items 3A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Thanks.
All right, that's it. We'll go to closed session.
Superintendent Pelfrey,
The recommended motion is to approve the expulsion as presented.
do I hear a motion?
So moved. I second.
Thank you. Thank you, trustee Wheeler. Thank you, trustee Arnett. Any board comment? Not hearing any. Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett
Aye.
and trustee Scott. Aye, motion carries.
Item 4A-B in the matter of student 2022-23G, the recommended motion is approve the expulsion as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second. Thank you, trustee Arnett, and thank you, trustee Bull. Any board comment? Not hearing any. Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett,
Aye.
trustee Scott. Aye, motion carries.
Item 4B. C, personnel matters pursuant to government code section 54957. Memorandum of understanding with one classified employee. The recommended motion is approve the MOU as presented.
Do I hear a motion? I move to approve. Thank you, trustee Bull.
I second.
Thank you, trustee Arnett. Any board comment? Not hearing any. Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett
Aye.
and trustee Scott. Aye, motion carries.
For item 4BF. Liability claim pursuant to government code section 54956.95. Claimant Yvonne Meckler, agency claimed against Sonora Union High School District. The recommended motion is to deny the claim as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I move it.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler. Second. Thank you, trustee Bull. Any board comment? Not hearing any. Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett
Aye.
and trustee Scott. Aye, motion carries.
Item 4C, conference with labor negotiator pursuant to government code section 54957.6. The California Federation of Teachers.
There was no action taken.
Item 4D, conference with labor negotiator pursuant to government code section 54957.6 CSEA.
There was no action taken.
Item 4E, public employee performance evaluation of the superintendent.
There was no action taken.
And we already did 4F, just out of order. And in item 4G, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to government code section 54956.9 D1. Case number CV 64047, agency claimed against Sonora Union High School District.
There was no action taken. Let us all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
All right, adopt agenda, Superintendent Pelfrey.
The agenda has been amended to correct a personnel matter. Items 3BB and 4BB have been removed as no employee is being released. And the attached list of personnel matters for item 8D has been amended to include 2 resignations. The recommended motion is to adopt the agenda, the amended agenda as presented.
Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? Thank you, trustee Bull.
Second that.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler. Any board comments?
Oh, first, we've got to
Sorry.
take, that's okay. Public comment.
Oh, yes, thank you. Public comment?
There's not appear to be any live public comment or online public comment.
Any board comment? Not hearing any. Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett
Aye.
and trustee Scott. Aye, motion carries. Public comment, Superintendent Pelfrey.
Members of the public are welcome to address the board at this time regarding presentations, reports, information, and non-agendized items. Time limit is 5 minutes per speaker with a cumulative time of 20 minutes. This is a time for members of the public to comment and board members to listen.
Superintendent Pelfrey, do we have any public comment for presentations, reports, information, or non-agendized items?
Please.
Just a question, hopefully, it can be answered during the meeting, is, when, you may have a, fair market value established for the dome or, an assessment established for the dome. Hopefully, sometime during the meeting, you can address that, like I said. Thank you.
Any additional comment? Hearing any? Any board comment? All right, reports and information items. Do we have a classified employee report?
That's stage presence right there.
Perfect time.
All right.
I'm Glenn Kelly, I'm outgoing president. This is Elizabeth Shuley. She's our incoming president. She is in the middle of becoming a bus driver instructor. So for the next couple of months, myself and Danny Hinkle will be kind of filling in the role for her until she finishes her bus driver training, and she'll tell you about that in just a couple minutes there. See, John Capello is going to be vice president. Kristen Ratto is still treasurer, and Dina Williams will be our secretary. That sort of classified board. We have a bunch of our bus drivers here. I'd like to have them introduce themselves to you guys, so you know who you guys see out here on the road and stuff. So start with Kendra.
Kendra Fish, special needs bus driver. Lori Christie, special needs bus driver. Margaret Taylor, everything, and I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm Jeanette Elsie, I'm a big bus driver, do high school.
Kevin Drake, I'm a new sub, possibly contract bus driver, and I do Route 1.
Bill Balbuena, a big bus driver, Route 6.
There we go. Well, Elizabeth, just tell you real quick about a bus driver, what it entails a little bit, so you guys can understand what it all
Yeah,
means and how long she's gonna be gone for and everything.
yeah, so they're covering me because I am headed to the Instructors Academy first week in March. It's 3 weeks. It's an intense course that the Department of Ed has available. I'm looking up for the school to send me. So that's why they're coming in for me, because I'll be gone for the entire month.
Thank you. All right, let's see, we are getting ready to draft our sunshine letter, hopefully here in the next week or so. So it can get to the 610 process, so we can have it back to hopefully for the next board meeting. That is a month out, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So so we can get into negotiations and stuff, and Kendra has some information on that. Do you have anything out there?
I was going to.
Can we hand these
Is
out?
that okay to hand it out?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, please.
a few still in there.
There, you hand those out.
Okay.
I'll-
There we go. There we go. There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
So this first page here is, obviously, this is just a comparison of wages with other districts, schools in our county here. So I highlighted Sonora High School.
I'm just gonna read, so you kind of follow along how I did this, but 2015-16, we were getting 19.22 starting. And in 22-23, we were getting $20.40, 42 cents starting. Hopefully that's a $1.20 over the last 8 years. Comes to about 7.79% per year. And then each district after that follows the same grid that I just did for that one. So, as you can see, the raises on some of the other districts, Columbia Elementary had a raise of 5.06 over the last 8 years, at 26% over 8 years. So we're definitely falling short on that right there. Sonora High School used to be one of the highest paid school districts. And this is no longer where we stand. School bus drivers at Sonora High School are requesting to be paid a competitive wage with other districts. We are the largest district and fall short on the pay scale. To become a school bus driver, it takes between 60 to 100 hours of training and continues throughout your career as a bus driver, which is required by the California Department of Education and California Highway Patrol. We're constantly going through training to keep our license. Drivers have to go through a background check and have random drug testing done throughout their careers as a driver. An important aspect to mention is the liability that a driver has on them while driving a school bus. And I have some examples here. A driver can be sued civilly if an accident occurs and someone is hurt. I think a lot of people don't realize that, charges can be brought against a driver just by an accusation from the student. But these are things that we know as bus drivers, and yet we still show up every day because we love our job. Columbia Elementary van drivers, I just kind of wanted to point this one out when I was going through some of the forms. I noticed that their van drivers start out more than we do as a bus driver. That is with no training at all. They don't follow the same requirements at all. District sub drivers start out on step 1 and they stay there regardless of their experience. They can have 20 years experience and still be at step 1. I think that's a big reason why it's hard to keep sub drivers. They're not going to stay at that, if they have that kind of experience and knowledge. They're not going to stay for that pay. So transportation has gone from having 10 subs to, I think, currently 3 subs, and tell me if I'm okay. 3 subs, and 2 of those subs are currently driving contracted routes. So we really only have 1 sub for all 12 routes, including big bus side and special needs. The next form is just, I was just kind of pointing out, minimum wage was in 2015, $9. And Sonora High School bus drivers got paid $19.22. That's a $10.22 above minimum wage, 60% difference. But now we're at, minimum wage is $15.50. We're at $20.42. That's $4.92 above minimum wage, a full 32% difference. Honestly, Taco Bell hiring for $17, $18 an hour, depending on what time you want to work. So that difference is a bit close. In conclusion, review the wages, take a look at pay scales that other districts have changed to reflect the number of years of drivers work. Give new drivers a wage that compensates them for the time and dedication they have spent in training to become a school bus driver. We are looking forward to negotiating an equitable and fair wage. All I have for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
One last thing, I'd like to invite you guys, Margaret and Donna and Cheddar, are going to be putting on an original bus class. I'd love for you guys to come to one class for a couple hours. Pick your night, just kind of see all the training that is required. Would you like one? I know you're a busy gentleman, I know, but
No busier than anybody else.
you can swing by. How long are the classes each night, Margaret?
5 to 9.
5 to 9. So even if you swing in for an hour or something, just kind of see what all the rules and regulations that come about. And everything. It's been a long day. I've been here since 5:15 this morning, so. We ran, girls basketball over the Amazon, so. Is that it? I think that's it. So that concludes my reports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have our certificated employee report, please?
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hi, thanks. Good evening. It's nice to see you all. I'm Debbie Hopper. I'm the president of the Sonora High Federation of Teachers. And I'm excited to be here with you tonight. I wanted to echo we've put a lot of money recently into management. And so it's time to put money into our other staff. So I support their move and their voice. They are an important piece of our team. I also wanted to put on, so I ask my staff, like I call it brag time. And so I'm going to read to you some of the things that were reported to me so I can read them to you. So performing arts has several things coming up. For drama, the kids are rehearsing Mary Poppins Juniors to be performed April 6th and 7th at 7 p.m. and on the April 8th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Their opening show is April 5th for interested elementary school students. They are also performing Step in Time, a piece from the musical at the L World Tour and Sonora in the Round. Many of these students are fundraising their way to attend the Oregon Shakespeare Festival trip, which will happen in late April. If you all want to support these kids, you can buy tri-tip sandwiches at Sonora and purchase pre-sale tickets to the Mary Poppins for the drama students. Band is performing on Friday, the home basketball games. In the league basketball games, and they will perform also at the rally. Jazz Band is sharing a concert with Columbia College Big Band Friday, February 3rd in our auditorium starting at 6 p.m. And I happen to know there's an excellent drummer that will be there performing for us all. The beginning concert and advanced bands will share a concert with Columbia Elementary, Sonora Elementary, and Salisburyville bands in the auditorium on Wednesday, February 8th, starting at 7. Choir will be delivering valograms to classes on Valentine's Day. Band performs at Sonora in the Round on March 1st and will perform in one of the Disney parks in Anaheim on St. Patrick's Day. Very exciting things happening with band and drama. Leslie Newman, one of our new English teachers, reported out that last week they worked on setting and context for Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Then they annotated and analyzed his diction, word choice, and the structure of his unexpectedly short but impressive speech. This week, her freshmen are analyzing Amanda Gorman's poem, New Day's Lyric, and completing an art extension along with an academic paragraph. Sophomores are analyzing a short story, Lessings Through the Tunnel, for symbolism and setting. They will be writing a short essay that asks them to define the symbols with text evidence. So lots of exciting things happening academically in the classes all around. And we are working on our sunshine letter so we can get negotiations started soon. And we're looking forward to that as well. Do any of you have questions for me? Okay,
No.
thank you. It's good to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe you didn't know that drummer's Ryan Hopper. So.
All right, Superintendent Pelfrey, can you please introduce our next presentation?
Yeah, we're very lucky today to have Gretchen Burtwhistle with us. Gretchen is our Career Technical Education, which we'll call CTE, department chair, and she's also our teacher on special assignment for CTE.
Can I stand over?
You certainly can stand here. Thanks,
Thank
Gretchen.
you. So
You know what? I skipped the superintendent's report. I was so excited about the CTE report.
You can get yours.
And just while Gretchen's handing this out, I actually was not going to do a report tonight because we have so many reports. But I know that the question of the fair market value for the dome is something that's of interest. And we hope to have that by the February meeting. That's what I've been assured may happen. I'm hoping that is on course. We are contracted with a commercial appraisal firm with Mike Wright here in town, and he's doing that fair market evaluation. Sorry,
That's right. Okay, so as Superintendent Humphrey just said, my name is Gretchen Burtwistle. For those of you that don't know me, I teach culinary arts, as well as this year I'm also the CTE department head and the CTE TOSA. And so I was asked to kind of give you a brief overview of our CTE program and then also directly link it to the goals and objectives that we have set in the strategic plan.
There's a mouse on the podium.
That's why. Oh, but it's wireless.
Yeah.
Okay. So what Career Tech Ed is it is kind of tying the academics with the skill and the hands-on practices to be able to set students up to go out and get a career, we like to say not a job, a career, which means that it is a livable wage and typically includes health benefits as well as retirement. So that's what our department is. Here at Sonora High, we have 7 different pathways. A pathway consists of at least 2 classes. Some of them have 3. They start out with some sort of introductory, and then it goes to a capstone class. We have everything from ag science, cosmetology, floral design, food service and hospitality, game design, residential and commercial construction, visual and commercial art, and then we're lucky enough to also be able to pair with the college, and we provide CCAP classes in firefighting, medical, as well as welding. So, and then on the agenda tonight is to discuss one of our future pathways, which is education. And there's a handout there for you regarding that one, which will prepare students for a career in the educational fields. And then coming up, we also have our California Partnership Academy, which is our construction academy, which ties the kids with integrated academic and career support so that they are ready for and certified for a career in construction. Currently, right now, we have, and these are not, unfortunately, these are not unduplicated numbers, so we may have some overlap. We have 519 students 519 students in CTE classes. And of those, 104 are completing a pathway. So when I talked about that there are 2 to 3 classes in a pathway, that means that they've gone completely through the pathway. So, and why would somebody want to take one? It has college and career readiness. It increases our graduation rates. It also helps give at-risk students a reason to come to school. And it often there's a thing in choosing CTE or college, but in fact, they help support each other and it can help with college success. And then work and life. You learn a lot of skills, whether you are going out into that career or not. I mean, who doesn't want to know how to cook? Who doesn't want to know how to build something, take pictures, different skills like that. Oh, double click. Okay, so when we look at Sonora High strategic plan, CTE was placed third out of 20 items that Sonora High would like to focus on. So the CTE department, looking at our objectives, we have 5 objectives that we've set for ourselves. One is that the students will complete a pathway, so that's that 104 students. Develop community-based partnerships with our advisory committees, increase our A through G offerings, and also students will have access to updated facilities that meet industry standards. And then our 5th one is students will demonstrate career readiness in completing a CTE pathway. So I'm going to give examples of how we have or how we are achieving those objectives. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to stop me and interrupt me. So our first objective is students will complete CTE pathways that support students' interests and help to meet community needs. And this is where it's a little tricky, because we have to be able to offer classes that students want to take, that make them excited to come to school, that get their interest in possibly doing a career. But at the same time, CTE, we are to provide, we have to look at the needs of our community and address what our community needs. And I mean, so there's a balance. If you look right now, though, we have, in our past year, we had 65.8% students who graduated, took CTE classes. So I think that's pretty good. 2/3 of our kids are taking a CTE class. So that means we're offering things that of interest. And then if we look at what our community needs, we have accounting, firefighting, education, construction, heavy equipment operation, and then the medical field. And of this, once we get our education pathway, again, we're at about 2/3 of providing what our community needs. But I mean, you can see it's a little hard to try to get a 16-year-old to want to take accounting classes. So that's where that gets a little tricky. So. And then I provided you with the full document. I just wanted to show an up close. And this is what I mean by what our community needs. This is data from the EDD showing for our region, nursing assistants, there's 200 job openings. And again, it's a livable wage and this middle one is what our students could start at once they graduate high school. So if we were to do the education pathway, they would graduate to be able to be paraprofessionals or teacher assistants, and that's that middle skill. But again, CTE is supporting anyone who wants to go further. And this then shows them, if they do decide to go on to further education, they have that foundation because of CTE, and then they can go on and increase their wage earnings by getting more education. Where are my questions?
Keep dropping down.
Okay. Okay, so another one of our objectives was to develop a community-based business partnerships and advisory committees. In the past, each pathway has kind of had their own advisory committee. It was our goal to develop a district-wide advisory committee of our community-based partnerships, and also of those people in that industry that need our students, so that we know what we can provide, what we should be giving our students that they're looking for. I'm happy to report that we did our first meeting on November 29th. And then our next meeting is February 23rd. And then we'll have a third meeting probably in April or late April, probably before the May crazy, as I call it. And then, moving on to our next objective, increase our A through G CTE offerings. We're lucky enough to already have quite a few, but, I'm working with, one of the counselors who is our A through G specialist and how we can get some of our other offerings approved for, A through G. And this, again, this aligns with kids don't have to pick one path or the other. So if they decide to go the education pathway, they still have all those A through G to be able to go on to become teachers and get credentials. Next one, students will have access to updated CTE facilities that meet industry standards. Right here, you can see, we are happy to report that I think, I was trying to get a date, but I think it's been at least 20 years since Ag has gotten a new truck. So we just purchased a brand new Ag truck. So making sure that our students have what they need to be able to learn what the industry has and to be using that same equipment. Other purchases we've made this year is we bought some desks for cosmetology that was so that they can do practical and hands-on on the desk, because it's hard to do it on a normal student desk. There's special desks for it. We just bought some computers for the game design program, and then also culinary got new ovens this last year. And then we've been purchasing construction tools to be able to open up our construction academy. And then along with that is also maintaining our facilities. Ranch is obviously up there, and then maintaining what we have. So making sure we have faster hard drives, the correct computer programs, the latest Photoshop, and then just your everyday supplies, because Cosmo is a functioning facility, so they have to have regular hair dye and shampoo and conditioner and all those regular supplies that the industry uses. Okay, so moving on, students will demonstrate career readiness by completing a CTE pathway. So CTE is a lot of different things. Yes, we're getting kids ready with a skill. So that might mean in the form of a certification. We do currently offer a couple of different certifications that we have here. We're hoping to always increase those to give our kids a step up when they go out into the world and they're interviewing against other students from other schools. But also when we go and we talk to industry people, the number one thing they say is soft skills. That's what they refer to as career skills. Can they show up on time? Can they take a leadership role? Do they do teamwork? Do they take direction well? So those are the things that we're really trying to integrate, make sure that they that all our students are learning, problem solving, and just being really clear what it means. If you have a job, you show up in the right clothing, you show up on time, you're not on your phone, different things like that. And then each pathway we kind of align so that we have some sort of job research. They do resumes, they do some of us provide mock interviews, as well as just making some connections with the industry, bringing people in to guest speak so that our kids can hear from other people and other graduates as well. So just to answer, how do we fund all these amazing, wonderful things? CTE, we're lucky that California provides a lot of grants. However, those grants, we have a great team that goes after them. We have Perkins K-12 Workforce Grant, what we refer to as the CTIG, and then an Ag Incentive Grant. And then because our CPA is our California Partnership Academy, we're getting funding from that for our construction. More, yeah. So just in conclusion, when you look at our mission statement, or vision, is it vision statement?
It's a mission, you're right.
Mission, okay. So having an eye on the future, CTE is always looking to see what new trends we need, how can we prepare our students the best way, looking for the new things that are in the industry. And then I believe we honor tradition in our county, and then working alongside our community partners. We're always trying to work with them, with our advisory committees, and teaming up with them to see how we can provide workers for them. And then we strive for our academic excellence. And then I really believe that we are career and college ready. So whatever pathway our students choose, they're being supported to make those choices. Because we all know you can decide one thing when you're 14 and we fully changed. So, and then we all emphasize being accountable, respectful, and engaged students. Any questions? Okay, thank you. That was
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
All right. We have a principal's report.
Good evening. So Matt is pulling up for us really quickly. Let's see if I can make this mouse work to go to the next slide. Wiggle it in the right spot. So student events, I am going to skip most things on this slide because Debbie Hopper already presented a lot of them. And so we have all kinds of things, like the winter months are really, really busy months at Sonora High School and every comprehensive high school. But I do want to highlight a few things that Debbie didn't have on her list. So we have about 20 students participating in mock trial. And so Mr. Pete Smith is running a mock trial club, and we have both retired and current judges helping support our students. So they had their first event last Wednesday, and where they ran a defense, and they actually got their not sure what the right word is.
Your client
Their
acquitted.
client acquitted. I guess, the word I was looking for. And then they're going to act as a prosecution tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the courthouse. Winter athletics are in their midway through league. They'll finish up in the next 2 weeks or so. We do anticipate that many of them will qualify for the postseason, which is exciting. As Debbie talked about, there's all kinds of visual and performing arts. Drama is entrenched in Mary Poppins and moving towards the first date of that. And then band and choir have all kinds of activities. We are looking forward to, in February, there will be an FFA week. And we are currently in the middle of Winterfest. And so we'll have a rally on Friday, and then in between the boys and girls game Friday night, there will be a Winterfest ceremony where they crown a homecoming king, basically. And so, and then Sonora in the round is historically, we have done this. We did take a 2-year hiatus because of COVID. And so we're very excited to be bringing that back this year. It will be on March 1st. It is kind of like an elementary school open house in what they do in the spring. And so we will showcase all the programs that we have at Sonora High School on March 1st, and we'll have more information leading up to that on Monday. And then I also wanted to just highlight for a moment some discipline updates. We don't talk about discipline to the board very often, with the exception of in the form of expulsions. But when we talk about discipline, we're really looking at how we change students' behavior, because we want to make sure that we're not just assigning consequences, that we're assigning consequences that help change behavior. And I feel like this year especially, we really moved forward in that. And so I wanted to highlight a few of the things that our associate principal and our student support manager and the campus supervisor team has really worked hard on. So we have assigned in the first semester 2,334 dimensions. And of them, 2,331 were served prior to
Christmas break. And so that, in the past, students kind of have had the impression that it was probably correct, that they could just wait it out and eventually they would go away. And so we made a really big push for like, okay, if you were assigned a consequence, you were going to make sure that you're responsible for that. And so there was only 3 unserved, and they were absent the week leading up to the winter break. And so they served the following when we returned from winter break. And then I broke down, because when we're looking at if the discipline processes work, if they're not changing behavior, then they're not working. And so when we broke it down, so of all the detentions assigned, there was 429 total students who were assigned a detention. If you look at the pie chart, it's kind of, there's lots of colors there. The important colors are the bigger wedge of blue and the bigger wedge of red. So the blue is students who were only assigned 1 detention. And it equaled about 32% of the total detentions. The red was students who were only assigned 2 detentions, which was almost 19%. So we were about over half of our detentions that were assigned to students. They got 1 or 2 detentions, and then that was enough to curb their behavior, and they didn't repeat the behavior. And I feel like that's data that shows, okay, for those students, that intervention is really changing their behavior. Now, we did have 3% that had 18 or more detentions. And so that one, we're looking at, okay, what do we do different with those students? Because we want to make sure that when we're trying to change behavior and help them meet our expectations, that we're using consequences that are impactful and actually change the behavior. And then it's refusing.
I'd say that you acknowledge it first.
Okay, and then along with detentions is also class suspensions. And so class suspensions are when a student is out of line inside of a classroom and they're preventing other students from learning, or they've done something significant enough that they get removed from the class. And so in the first semester, we had 581 class suspensions, and that was 165 different students that were class suspended. 69 of them were only class suspended once. And when a student gets class suspended, the teacher makes contact with the parent and explains what happened. And so for 69 students, it only happened once, and then they weren't class suspended again, which shows like, okay, that was something that effectively changed their behavior in class. 22 of them were class suspended twice, 18 were class suspended 3 times, 16 4 times, and then 39 were class suspended 6 or more times. Of the 8 top offenders, 5 of them are no longer attending Sonora High School, because we really talked about, okay, if you're continually getting class suspended, what can we do to change that behavior? We do have a tiered system of support. And so when we look, what might work this time? There we go. To qualify the tier 2, it basically looks at a snapshot of the last 2 weeks, and it's a running 2 weeks. So it doesn't start fresh in 2 weeks, it just continues to roll. So 37 students qualified to move to tier 2, and to qualify to move to tier 2, you have to, in a 2-week period, be class suspended by the same teacher 2 times, or be class suspended in more than once in 1 day. So that would automatically, if I've been having a horrible day and I get kicked out of Ms. Burgos's class and Spot's class, then I'm going to automatically qualify for tier 2 because I need some more intervention to help me get back on track. And then also, and if you were suspended 3 times from any classes in a 2-week period, then you qualify. For 19 of those 37 students, they qualified for tier 2, which then results in a meeting with an administrator and the student is the first step of tier 2. For 19 of them, that changed behavior. They didn't reoffend. 18 of them met with either myself or the associate principal, Mr. Sarkeesian, and it didn't change their behavior. So the next step would be to meet with a teacher, an administrator, and the student to talk about how do we support you in class. And then of the 18 that moved to that step, all but 3 of them didn't reoffend. And then those 3, we really worked on And those three are no longer attending our school at Sonora High School. So we're really focusing on how do we change the behavior versus, okay, we're just gonna consequence use it for forever and then not have anything change. So I'm actually really proud of the work that our team is doing to try to change behavior on our campus. And then I think we'll get to the next one. Something that I've heard here for a really long time is that we can't move forward academically until we get the behavior at a spot where it's more in line with our expectations. And so I started here in 2007, and the behavior has been a consistent grind on everyone, and it's like been the focus. And so I feel like with that focus of like how we change that behavior, and now we're able to start focusing in our departments on different things. And so what our departments are focusing on right now is really the work of the strategic plan, making sure that we have objectives and metrics that we are comfortable with and that we feel are still appropriate. And then finding the actions and services that we're going to do to implement and move us forward in that work. So I'm really excited about where we're at as a school right now. So you guys have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna highlight, for you, I'm Robert Maven, I think everybody knows that, but I want to fun with that. I'm gonna highlight in my principal's report tonight, Casino High School, and then I'll touch it on Edward at the very end. But here we go. So I'm gonna do my presentation a little bit different this evening. We're gonna focus on some of the things we've been doing and showing pictures of the things that we've been doing. So this is our social emotional learning field trip. So we had 7 students who were chosen by staff to start working on developing and just really working on the relationships between students and staff. So we've done a lot of work on that, and so we had our seven kids. They went up to the snow park right up the hill at Leland Meadows, and we took them out to breakfast. I didn't. Mr. Rowan was in charge of this portion of our field trip. We took them out to breakfast, had a wonderful breakfast. They went out to the snow park and had a great day. And then they came back and picked up lunch. And one of the things that we're working on is while we're building those relationships is having our students create experiences that they don't get, that they wouldn't have opportunities for. So we're working on, we're going to do one field trip a month. We've got a big way we're gonna get students to want to engage and earn these field trips, tied to hero points, and then just good attendance. Earning all the credits and a whole lot more stuff that the staff and I and actually students work with today to create that. So and the goal really is where we want to be able to meet our students where they're at, and to be able to do that, they have to have a trusting relationship with our staff. And if they don't trust who we are and that we're there for the right reasons, we really struggle to get kids to want to learn, especially the kids up at our Casino campus, because they're there for a reason, right? So we're working at coming at a little different angle to get them to earn their credits. And then so this is also part of our social emotional learning. We had a Christmas feast. So as students after Thanksgiving, I talked to them about how was your Thanksgiving meal and everything, and many of the kids said, I didn't get turkey, I didn't get to celebrate. And I told John Hanson that, and he goes, well, we're gonna fix that. Right, so him and another student kind of took initiative to make sure that every one of our students was able to celebrate a Christmas feast with our Casino family. So it was a big production, and the students we had the best attendance that week. And everybody was in. So we decorated the gym, and we made all the decorations in our art class. We made Christmas, every student left with a Christmas ornament. The fireplace that's here was made in art. We had community support, our SAR board, Student Attendance Review Board, helped. Our Tuolumne County Office of Education helped, had actually staff there helping get everything set up. We had community there helping. It was a giant production. We fed probably 60 or so students and staff and community members. And then you see all the stockings, every student got 2 stockings. Then the stuff was donated by local agencies. We got a Christmas tree. Mr. Rowan went up, he got one of the permits to cut down a Christmas tree. And many of the kids had never even had a Christmas tree. We actually donated that to a family when we got done. Dave and I took it to a family. We just had lots of support, and the kids just had a wonderful experience. And before this, we actually have a Christmas store where every kid gets to get items that we help them wrap. We teach them how to wrap, and they're able to at least put a gift or 2 under their Christmas tree or at home. And all of that stuff is donated by the community. It's just a really, it looks like Target. And in the back of our room, there's so much stuff there. And the kids really appreciate that. So this is just another way that we're building our relationships with students and staff, so we can get them to want to go to school and want to trust us and want to learn. Okay, and then so this is just what we're doing in science and math. So the students up at Casino, they struggle a little bit with the traditional path of learning. So we're doing projects. So we have a mousetrap car, which is focuses on, make sure I get Mr. Westfall's stuff correctly. Energy and motion, right? So instead of just bringing a textbook, so they actually build this mousetrap and they put these CD wheels on it. And I think they built some of the parts out of using our 3D printer that we have up there this year. And then as the mousetrap goes, it pulls a string, and then they try to see how many tiles, which is a foot, they can get it down the hallway. They built a spaghetti bridge working on Newton's laws and forces and how much weight it can hang. We did some gardening and composting in the garden back there. And then just some other hands-on stuff that we're doing in our science and our math classes. See the next one. And then PE is a favorite efficacy, and I don't know what we would do if we didn't have the gym, because the gym is a thing the kids love. And then we have a piano in the weight room, and the kids, it's really surprising to me how many kids know how to play the piano or teach themselves how to play the piano back in the weight room. And there's nothing better than walking into the gym and hearing the piano going instead of other types of music. We actually brought that and hopscotch. So the kids, it was their idea. So we got some chalk and we made a hopscotch deal, and then we played some foursquare and play foursquare. And then of course basketball is like the thing at almost every day in the gym. The kids have got a game going, and we're bringing some other activities because we've got the art kids, we've got the athletic kids, and we've got a group or 2 kids that we working on some other things to keep them engaged during lunch and before school and after school to help them make better choices and be engaged. And here's just some of the art stuff. So the kids are super creative. Our art program, Brian Annette has taken it, and Aaron, our paraprofessional, has taken it to another level. We've got 2 grants. One is coming to you guys tonight. But one is it's art and suicide prevention. So putting those together, the kids, they're doing 1-minute videos, and we're actually going to do. We did an adverse childhood experience training with our students, and we brought small groups in, and we talked about the trauma that our kids have. And we're going to do the same thing with this suicide prevention. We're going to bring in small groups, and we're going to use the stuff that they're creating in art, and we're going to do a presentation. With the students on that, because it is kind of something we want to make sure that we're addressing, at Casino High School, because it's, all of our kids have some sort of trauma in their life, which is probably why they're at Casino High School. So we're trying to kind of rewire some of their brain and help them get there. And so the goal of all this is so that we can work on attendance, academics, and just make sure our students are good citizens. Now, that one in the middle, we have a drum activity where we have one of our community members brings in drums, and then the kids will do all kinds of drumming, and it's really fun to watch. And it's a lot of noise. I'm sure the neighbors can hear that too. And then at Ted Bird, our numbers are growing a little bit. we're graduating students. I think we're moving in a really good direction, and we're just gonna keep going. And I'll highlight Timber at another time, but tonight I really want to just show you some of the stuff that we've been doing at Casino over the last semester. You guys have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you.
We have a superintendent.
Well, I can't put things in order tonight, so I already gave the superintendent's report. We have plenty, but we can move on to the next one.
Okay, all right, damage due to the recent storm, state of emergency, Superintendent Pelfrey.
The Tuolumne County Superintendent of Schools is requesting information on damage that occurred on Sonora High School District sites due to the recent storm. So we've made claims on the Dunleavy Field bleachers. We had water coming through the bleachers, which is a major concern. So we've made a claim to OES on that. Hopefully this is something that Mark Alberto, our maintenance operation and technology manager, was aware of before that we had talked about, but we hadn't seen water squirting out between concrete before. So we had hoped that maybe those repairs might be something that might carry on until maybe 8 years, when we'll probably need to replace a field, because you don't want to be going across a field with our field and track with heavy equipment. And then also we're very, very aware of the historic nature of our stands and the uniqueness that we're looking at. And in the past, the last time we had this renovated, that stone, so this was built in the 1930s with works WPA, Works Projects Administration work during the Great Depression. And so it's very historic, it's very unique. And so the last time it was renovated, even the stone fronts that came off to make it ADA accessible were put back on. Those stones were kept. And that's something that we're really conscious of, maintaining its uniqueness and also having to maintain its safety. So this may have moved up the timeline on that. A very loose initial claim was put in to OES for $1.2 million for repairs. We're uncertain of what steps it's going to have to take as we move forward, but definitely engineering work. Looking at that, we're hoping for something unique as opposed to tearing off pieces of large pieces of concrete and having to replace. So working on that. There was also a claim. There was some new leakage on buildings at the alternative ed site, and there was carpet damage. So we're making those claims as well.
Thank you. Board of Trustees reports. All right. So we'll go to the quarterly report on the Williams Uniform Compliance, Superintendent Pelfrey.
The district received no complaints this quarter regarding Williams related issues, which include deficiencies in instructional materials, conditions of facilities that are not safe, or teacher misassignment or vacancy.
All right. We'll go to 2023-2024 Comprehensive School Safety and Emergency Plan, Superintendent Pelfrey.
So pursuant to Education Code 32286 and 32288, each district shall annually present its safety and emergency plans, followed by an adoption at a subsequent meeting prior to March 1st. So you have that updated comprehensive school safety plan in your packets. I will just note that, and then they'll come back at our next meeting for approval. I will note that we are in the middle of, can I say that? Maybe I shouldn't if I can't. Never mind. There's a grand jury in the county, and sometimes they ask questions, and they're asking them of all schools in the county about safety plans. So anyway, that's a part of the grand jury. But also, I just wanted to note that yesterday we had this planned well in advance, and was happy to be able to do it. That we met at the county schools office with the police department, the sheriff's department, the CHP, the Office of Emergency Services, CAL FIRE, who else? City of Sonora Fire. Was there any other emergency agencies there? No, and we all talked about trying to make sure that we do our best as an entire county to make sure that we are supporting the work of our first responders at our schools, and that we're building plans that are efficient and effective. And it was a very useful. It was particularly fun at one point to then say that almost all of those representatives were Sonora High School graduates of many. We had CAL FIRE, we had the sheriff's department and the police chief all sitting there, and so that was great. And then as our CHP officer, Coach Matishak, who's our softball coach, also noted, and of course, Sonora High School, the noted softball power, because he said it's really a softball school. So he was there as well, but it was very useful, and we look forward to incorporating what we learned from them.
Thank you. School accountability report cards for Sonora High, Dario Casino High, and Theodore Berg High School, Principal Sells and Maven. Sorry.
No, very good. Perfect.
I didn't introduce myself last time. I made an assumption that everyone knows me. I'm Karen, so I'm the principal. Today we're going to be talking about the school accountability report card. And so when we go through it, it's a document that every year, by law, it has to be posted on our website, approved by the site council. And you guys can post them on your website by February 1st. There is always a little bit, or since I've been doing it, there's been a delay in my ability to change slides. There you go, thank you. Since I've been doing the school accountability report card, which we call the SARC. So we input a lot of the narrative to the SARC. And then the CDE uploads a lot of the data based off of what we have submitted through a variety of them. Through our standardized testing reports, through data quests, there's a whole bunch of different ways that they pull data and then they input that portion. Since I've been doing the school accountability report card, despite the February 1st deadline, the CDE is not very good about inputting their data prior to it. So you will see in a couple of spots in your guys' document that there is missing data, and that would be data that the CDE is responsible for uploading into it that they haven't got to it yet. And so we will update it again once they've updated the rest of the information. There's really 4 different parts to the school accountability report card. The initial piece is just an introduction of the overall, it's an overview of the community, of the school, and of our enrollment at Sonora High School.
Can I interrupt you for just one moment, just so the board is aware? I believe you have the report in front of you as well.
And so that's.
Nope, we don't. So I apologize. It's in your packets, your digital packets.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so the first part is just basically an overview of the school, the community that the school supports and draws students from. The second section is conditions of learning. The third section is pupil outcomes. And then the last section is engagement, and that's engagement. Parent opportunities to be engaged, pupil engagement, and the school climate. And so when we look at each of those individually, when we look at the first one, it's conditions of learning. And so this is the degree to which teachers are appropriately assigned and fully credentialed in the subject areas that they're teaching and for the students that they're teaching. This is one area that the CDE has not uploaded the most recent data for. And so you will see when you look at the report that data is going for right now, and they anticipate later in updating it. The SARC is unique also in that it does look at a variety of different years. So some things are reported based off of last year, some things are reported based off the 2021 year. And so there is some discrepancy in what year is being reported. So we always have to be real mindful when we look that there is a little, and some things are reported off of this current year. And so most of the time it's labeled at the top what year you're looking at when you look at it. As well, for conditions of learning, it's students have access to standards aligned instructional material. In our core content areas, we are current in both of our math and social studies adoptions, but we have not adopted in the last adoption cycle for both science and English. And so that's an area that we're looking at that we really need to. And part of the reason we didn't adopt for science was because when their last adoption cycle came around, it was right at the beginning of the next generation science standards, and they wanted to get a better grasp of which direction we wanted to go first. And at that point, there wasn't a lot of standards aligned curriculum. But now we're at the point where that cycle is passed, and so we do really need to look at adopting current curriculum for both English and science. And then the last piece of this section is school facilities are maintained and in good repair. In December, Mr. Alberto presented the FIT report to us, and this data is pulled exactly from the FIT report, and so it's identical to what Mr. Alberto presented in December. And then the next section is pupil outcomes, and so this is based off of 4 different types of tests. And actually not really tests, they're not all tests, because CTE is not based off of tests. And so we have the CAST test, which is the California Assessment of Student Progress and Performance. And it encompasses math and English. And so in English, I'm real happy to say that, so it gives a comparison of where our school is versus the state. And in English, our rate of students who met or exceeded the state standards was 67%, and the state average was 47%. So we exceeded the state average by 20%. In talking with our English department, they're not satisfied with that, and they're looking at ways to increase that number. Math is a little bit of a different story. And so we had 30% of students who met or exceeded. The state average is 33%. So we're a little lower than the state average, but we are consistent with other schools in Fulton County. The science test is called the CAST test, and we've administered it for 2 years now. Actually technically 3, because we piloted it the first year. And so we have data for the past 2 years. From the first year, we had 31% of students who met or exceeded. And now we've raised that to 34 and about 0.5%, which is significantly higher than the state average of 20. I don't have that one memorized. 28%, I believe, is the state average for science. Inside the SARC, it does break it down by demographics. They break it down by male and female, and then ethnicity as well. And so it does allow us to look and go, and also social, economic, youth, homeless youth. So then we can make decisions on what interventions we give to students based off of what those numbers are. And then the CTE results. Gretchen and I talked and she put together the presentation. And so the numbers are very similar. Gretchen's numbers reflected this year's enrollment. And in the SARC, you will see last year's enrollment. And so last year we had 421, I believe, students enrolled in I apologize. I thought I had all this memorized. 463 students enrolled in CTE programs. And so, and like Gretchen stated, we had 65% of our students who are earning a diploma taking CTE classes. And those numbers are reflected. There isn't consecutive year numbers, so there's not a comparison. But I feel like next year we'll be able to internally compare those. And then we also have, and in this, back to the CTE, it lists all the programs that we offered, much like Gretchen already covered those. And then the PFT results are the physical fitness tests. This is kind of unique because in the past we sent the data away and it was analyzed at a different level, and we haven't had to record it in a document like this. And so this year is the first year that we've recorded it inside of the school accountability report card. And in looking at the data with our department chair, we have discovered like inconsistency in what we believe the data to be versus how it's reported. And so when we ran the report, if you look, there's 5 components of the physical fitness test. It's given to all 9th graders. In 2 of the components, so the components are aerobic capacity, abdominal strength and endurance, trunk extension, strength and flexibility, upper body strength and endurance, and component 5 is flexibility. In 2 of them, and so what we're reporting is just the number of students who completed the testing. And so in 2 of them, we were over 80%. One was at 87%, which is with absenteeism, that's about what we would expect it to be. And then two of the other components were about 65%. And then one component was at 30%. And that's the one that we're trying to identify. And Scott and I are working to identify whether it was how we reported or where the data is being pulled so that we can make sure that we accurately represent the number of students who were tested moving forward. So when you look at that and you're like, there's a problem right there. We're actively working on figuring out where that problem is so that we can not have it moving forward. And then engagement. And so opportunities for parent engagement in the SARC report, there's several paragraphs about ways that we give parents to be involved. And so we do offer a back to school night. We send home weekly communications via the Wildcat Weekly and the week ahead. Our counseling staff puts on parent information nights about financial aid and college registrations and things like that. We try to make sure that if your child is involved in a specific activity that has a research club, that we're inclusive of anyone that might want to be involved. We do have an active site council that meets once a month and does lots of things like approves courses to be reviewed by you guys for addition to our the courses that we offer. We advertise that in the Wild Weekly as well. And so we feel like we are trying to actively provide opportunities for parents to engage with us. And then pupil engagement is dropout rate, graduation rate, and absenteeism. And so when we look, our dropout rate is significantly less than the state average. And so our dropout rate in the 2021-22 school year was 3%, and the state average is 7.8%. And so really looking at that right there and making sure that we're supporting students in getting a high school diploma. I feel like we're doing a good job in that, though we want that number to be even less. And then our graduation rate in the 2021-22 school year was 97%. And then the absenteeism is a little bit harder of a number to look at, and it does break it down. So chronic absenteeism is calculated in a unique way, a number of days that you've missed. And so we're looking at how we can affect, especially since we all know that attendance at school is the #1 predictor of success at school. Because if kids aren't coming to school, then they're not going to be successful at school. We're looking at ways to lower our absentee rate. So, and then it breaks it down demographically for you in there as well. And then the last piece is school climate. And so it discusses suspension and expulsion rate. We are significantly higher than the state average. Some of the comparison years are not, I wouldn't say they're fair comparison though, because a lot of schools that we're comparing, like during the COVID year, we came back to school in person sooner. Some schools never came back to school in person, so they didn't suspend or expel very many people. Our students came back to campus. But we do feel like we are looking at other ways to change behavior, but there are some circumstances where suspension or expulsion is necessary in order to keep our campus safe. It does talk about the school safety plan, our ratio of class size, our ratio of counselors to students, the amount that we spend on every student, and then salaries and professional development. Because for school climate, making sure that our teachers have the support that they need is really important. And so those are the components of this year's school accountability report card. And we know we talked for quite a while now, and I apologize for including the night. Is there any questions?
Are you happy with the report, the way it's come, as far as, I noticed when I looked at some of the student expenditures and the average cost for the teachers was quite a bit lower than the state average.
Yeah, I feel like that's inconsistent. When we looked at it, I felt like it was skewed a little bit because of some of the like the significantly large amount of COVID money that we had, and so that's calculated in a little bit differently. And so when you look historically, I think it was much higher than it is represented this year. And I think that once we've extinguished those COVID monies, it will go back to looking more consistent with, and then we're also changing our funding model so that will, when we think about different schools that are funded in a different way, like schools in the Central Valley. So there's an unduplicated student count that we don't quite meet that threshold to gain additional funding for. When you look at the difference between Sonora High School as a site and in our district, there's a significant discrepancy, but then when we look at the offset sites, the number of the ratio of students to staff is significantly different, which is why that changes. It's about a $4,000 difference. And so, but that's because so on our site, we have a principal and associate principal for 900, and I think our CBED's number was 920 something this year. And where on the alternative websites, they have a principal and a counselor and a campus supervisor for a lot less students. So then the people expenditures looks like it's significantly more there. So, but I do feel like we're providing our students with a quality education here.
Well, I think it scales to some degree about the same. You know, the teachers aren't paid as much here as they are somewhere else, and the overall cost per student is going to reflect that. I just noticed it was when I went over it that it seemed to be, in some cases, quite a large amount, at least the way it looked on the side.
And there is a wide difference between even just in our district, our school in the district, and then the district and the state. So, and sometimes they feel like it's a little bit of apples and oranges just because of where we're at.
Right.
So, and how we were funded previously. And these numbers, the funding was from 2021. So that was really 3 fiscal years ago.
Yeah.
So.
So I was curious about the graduation rate, the 97 and the 3. I can do that math, that makes sense. Is that from freshman year to senior year?
So they look at a 4-year cohort. And so it's like, how many did we start with freshman year and did they graduate senior year?
Does that take into consideration kids who move away?
And so say a student moves to Nantucket, then they would be removed from the cohort.
So that they don't skew those numbers whatsoever.
Correct.
So if they switch between Sonora and Somerville, that those numbers are still.
Yeah, grade class within the 4-year cohort. So,
Okay.
That's great.
any other questions?
Thank you.
I do want to state that I did say that you would have those papers in front of you. So as they were going through numbers, now you do. So thank you.
Ms. Sells did the hard part. She explained everything. So mine are gonna be much shorter, and really, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just highlight the things that we really need to work on both campuses. And then what we're kind of doing to do that. So thank you, Ms. Sells, for doing all the hard work on this. So the first one's gonna be, I get to do it twice, but also. The first one's gonna be for Casino High School. And I just threw a couple things out there. So, you know, this is our population at Casino. We have way more young men than we do young women. And then so here's the things that we're really struggling with. So we have a high absenteeism rate. Our suspension rate is high. And and our graduation rate isn't where I'd like it to be. So those are the things that we need to work on. And then the next slide, or we'll talk about, like, here's what we're doing to work on those, just so it's not like, here it is, just kind of like, here's the things that we're doing to work on it. And most of this all wraps around the social emotional learning that we are really focusing on this year. And I think our staff has come to the conclusion, and still, until our students trust us and want to be at school, we're going to struggle to make improvements academically, attendance wise, behavior. So we gotta put in the hard work with that. And again, meet our students where they're at to get them to the next step. And, you know, I was at a board meeting at my home, and one a while back where some of the board members went to a training down south somewhere, I can't remember exact San Diego or Santa Barbara. And I heard something that I went, that's what we're doing. And what I heard was, what you guys have heard that as when is, we want to meet our students where they're at. I heard, I think, trustee Wheeler, I think you said that, or, and I thought that's what we're doing at Casino High School. It's in our WASC curriculum, right? Because until we do that, I don't feel like, and my staff doesn't feel like we're going to be able to improve on the other things, the academics. So we're really working hard on these things. You know, we're partnering with behavioral health. They're working with us in our English class on solutions for alcohol, tobacco, and drug interventions. We've introduced some curriculum, partnered with Tuolumne County Office of Education. You know, we have an SEL meeting every month with them and staff, and we have a student representative. And then just as a staff, we talk about it. We talk about it all the time about what we can do to improve those relationships so we can get better attendance and academics out of our students. You know, we have our site counselor here meeting with a behavioral health counselor. They put on activities after school. They bring food. That seems to be the highlight of everybody's. What gets kids there, we're working on alternatives to suspension. We're providing curriculum to help students be aware of what drugs and alcohol and tobacco does to them in the long run. You know, all the staff has participated in an adverse childhood experience with our students. So we brought kids and staff together, and there's a format that we go through, and then all the staff is going to a 2-day trauma-informed practice, so they know the population of kids they're working with. And then Hero, we're really working on Hero to incentivize. You know what we're
Incentivize, yeah.
Student behavior and learning and attendance and all that. So we're working on a plan to improve what the previous slide showed. You know, and you know, so we really struggled in our CASP and our science testing. So we only met or exceeded the standards in English, you know, with 8.3%. We didn't do it at all in math. And in science, we struggled also with that. So we have a lot of work to do. But again, the kids are there for a reason. We just have to be able to pull off that. And then so here's what we're working on. So we've expanded our Apex curriculum because that's one of our main. It's not as much as it used to be because we are doing more hands-on.
I want to explain Apex.
Apex is an online learning system that we're able to. We don't have enough staff to teach all the subjects that our students need. So we can bring students into a classroom and we can teach a couple of different subjects at the same time through this Apex online learning. So it's online because the curriculum's all there, but the teacher is there to support them. So we've expanded that, and we've also brought more in-person type learning. We have a very seasoned staff, a new staff, but a very seasoned staff at Casino who bring a lot of expertise. So Big Ideas is a math program that's been used there, but we've kind of reinstated it in meeting our students where they're at. Because we can teach this, but if they don't know how to do this, we're never going to go anywhere, right? And they're going to get frustrated, they're going to shut down, they're not going to come to school. So we're doing, I think we're doing a much better job with that. We're complementing our English curriculum with current event type stuff. It's actually out of the New York Times. So that's just promoting discussion on what's going on in today's world, and just to kind of bring out the engagements and the discussion with the kids and to complement the English stuff we're already doing in the classroom. And we saw some of the science stuff. We're doing more hands-on learning because the kids are hands-on learners for the most part. And these experiments, I think, allows them to understand the stuff that the teacher's talking about. And so this is about our facility. So our classrooms, I shifted gears there. Our classrooms are in pretty good shape. Our counselor's office and the principal's office, they're a little rough. They're the portables. They've been there for a while. So portables are old and showing wearable inside and out. So the portables are, but we're doing, you know, our maintenance staff is amazing. They're there when something needs to be taken care of, and they're doing a great job keeping us going in our portables and in our classrooms. And then, so we are expensive, you know, you talk about that, we're expensive at Casino High School. You know, as Ms. Sells said, we have me, we have, you know, a secretary, we have a counselor, we've got very seasoned teachers. Our school site therapist comes in and works with us. So we have a lot of resources for, you know, 60, 65 kids, depending on graduation rate and attendance. So we are an expensive campus. We've been able to, we got the social emotional learning grant. So all the stuff that you guys saw, that doesn't come from the district budget, that comes from the grant that we received. We're kind of a pilot at Casino in the county for the social emotional learning. So that takes care of all that stuff that doesn't come out of the district budget. For Casino, are there any questions? That was actually longer than I wanted to go. I got another one to do. Any questions? Okay. All right, so for Ted Bird, go. There you go. So it's kind of the opposite at Ted Bird, right? We have more female students than male students, which is kind of to be expected. We do struggle with absenteeism there. We talked about that, and I think last year, because that's where this is coming from, with the students being able to just go to Ted Bird. All students were allowed to go because of COVID and the laws that were written. That I think that had a little bit to do with kids not knowing what they're getting into, and then getting there and going, oh no, and then missing, and, you know, us doing our portion, and then like, well, that didn't work. We got to look at something else. We're like, no, I'm out. And then so I think that had something to do with it. But we'll know a little bit more this year, because it'll be a full year with a lot more students than we have in the past. We had a lot of freshmen go there last year too, and most of those freshmen came back because you know, we want them to experience high school, so that most of them came back. I'm really proud of my suspension rate. We suspended 0 students and we expelled 0 students, and I'm proud of the graduation rate, but I know we can do better. So we've got a ways to go, but we're working on it. And what are we doing? Oh, so let's talk about this first. So English, we had about 30% of our students meet standards. Math, we really struggled, and in science, we struggled. So we have some work to do all the way around there also. And I think some of this had to do with the students that went to, the students that went to independent study and didn't really know what they were getting into. So we'll have a better idea of that this year when it's more of a traditional type school year. And then at Ted Bird, our only classroom is a portable, and it's like the other portables. It's old, right? So again, the maintenance crew is wonderful about taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of in that part of it. And then we're not expensive at Ted Bird per student, right? Because we don't have all the staff and the kids that we can handle a lot more kids per teacher ratio. And we share a counselor. Casino and Ted Bird share a counselor. So those are the numbers of the one thing, you know, that even our teacher salaries are much lower too at Ted Bird, right? It's a different structure. So, and I think there's one more thing I wanted to add. One of the things that we've done at Ted Bird also is we've expanded our Apex program, online program, because we have students that need a little bit more help, more than we used to have. We have more students with IEPs, and then we still want to make sure that we're challenging those learners that need to be challenged more. So, and that's one of our main curriculums for Ted Bird is the online Apex program. We do have you know, books and things like that, but for most of our stuff is given to the kids through the Apex program. So that's one of the things we're doing to try to improve this challenge more and more. We do have some kids that are dual enrolled that take Ted Bird courses and then also enrolled at Columbia College. All right, done. Yes, sir.
In regards to the average teacher salary and the expenditures for the three different SARCs. Is the Ted Bird in relation to other independent study schools, casinos in relation to other, it's just all.
The casino teachers and the Sonora High School teachers, it's one salary schedule. Right. The independent study teachers are on a different Sonora High School salary schedule.
Okay.
So the relationship between the Sonora High and casino, it's the
So the
same.
comparison numbers aren't gonna come from the same schools in that case. They're gonna-
Those are the,
Like the Ted Bird one you said is.
except, yeah, like the other one, it's just, a seasoned teacher,
Right.
years of time in the service and years teaching. Okay, is what will fluctuate that.
But yes, the number that the state compares against is all the same.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go down to regulation and exhibit update for September 2022 as recommended by CSBA Superintendent Pelfrey.
The attached administrative regulations and exhibits have been revised according to the California School Boards Association recommendations for the month of September 2022.
All right, then our overnight and out-of-state field trip update Superintendent Pelfrey.
The following overnight and out-of-state field trips have been approved since the last board meeting. The wrestling team had a tournament, had a tournament at Natomas High School. And FFA is going to a leadership conference in Modesto in February.
Right. We're gonna go down to our consent agenda, Superintendent Pelfrey.
The consent agenda combines routine business into one agenda item as a whole. Therefore, the consent agenda can be approved in one action rather than multiple motions on each item separately. The recommended motion is to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I move it.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler. Thank you, trustee Bowl. Any board comment?
Actually,
Oh, wait,
public.
excuse me, public comment?
Do we have any comment? Does not appear we have any live comment.
All right. Board comment? Not hearing any. Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Trustee Arnett,
Aye.
and trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we're gonna go down to the discussion agenda. Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item 9A is approve the revised 2023-20 24 school year calendar. The calendars were revised to include the Juneteenth holiday. The recommended motion is to approve the calendar as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
And the
Thank you,
motion to
trustee.
approve the calendar as presented.
Thank you, trustee Arnett.
Second it.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler. Public comment,
Not appear to be any public comment.
board comment? Not hearing any. Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett,
Aye.
trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item B. Approve the 2022, 23, and 23, 24 revised board meeting schedules. The meeting schedules detailed when the board will hold regular meetings. At the board meeting in December, board members mentioned that they would like to discuss the regular meeting schedule again at this meeting. It was agreed that the meetings will continue to be held at the same location and begin at 5:30. However, closed session will last 1 hour, ending at approximately 6:30. The recommended motion is to approve the revised board meeting schedules as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Arnett. Any public comment,
Not appear to be any public comment.
board comment? Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett,
Aye.
trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item C, approve board governance handbook. The handbook has been revised to reflect the changes agreed to at the governance workshop. And the president clerk has determined at the governing board meeting on December 13th, 2022. The recommended motion is to approve the governance handbook as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I motion.
Thank you, trustee Arnett.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Bull. Any public comment? Not hearing. Board comment? Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
Trustee Wu. Aye. Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Scott. Aye. Motion carries. Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item D, approve resolution 2022-23 18, reauthorizing teleconference meetings pursuant to AB 360.
Do I hear a motion?
There does not appear to be a motion.
Any board, already public
No,
comment?
there's no public
No,
comment.
okay, good at that. All right, keep going on.
It's too late to make a motion. So we can have comment. Yeah, or is it, or we,
You're welcome to make a motion.
I would motion that we do not continue meetings held teleconferencing. And I'll wait till there's board comment to give my opinion.
I'll second.
So you can go, thank you.
All right, thank you, trustee Wheeler, and thank you, trustee Bull. Any public comment?
This is more just a question for the administration to look into whether or not this applies only to the board members and presenters being telecommuted, or if this would continue to allow it to be broadcast for the public without necessarily having public comment back into it like during events.
Just ask if there's any more public comment.
Any more public comment? Not hearing any board comment?
I'd say that was a good segue into kind of what we discussed, where we wanted to discuss about how this would shape, whether it's just the board members or being able to teleconference in or Zoom or whatever term you want to use, versus keeping it active for the public who may want to continue remotely to be able to access these meetings.
I'm of the mind that we should look into it to find out if there are any whatever issues may exist for us to not meet or to continue to allow this. But certainly when it comes to, I would say, presentation, addressing the board, addressing, live addresses, and I'll use today as a perfect example. I, with no disrespect to Debbie Hopper, it was much more difficult to follow her presentation. The presentations today were fantastic. Every last one of them, from my perspective, was incredibly informative. Learning about busing and the approach, although that was slightly different from maybe the ones that were more student-centric. I would say that every single report shows us how much we care about students at the school.
Right.
And there was a lot of passion in that, and I followed it and I got it, and it was wonderful. But it's more difficult online. And I feel like we have come out of the necessity for teleconferencing. And there's just something about face-to-face and dare say, in my opinion, like if somebody were to have negative feedback for us, please, by all means, spend your time and show up at the meeting like those who do, and we welcome comments, even those that would be or criticisms even. Come and let's have this conversations, or let's do this face to face. I feel it's very impersonal, and I prefer the camaraderie of we're in this together. So that's my perspective, and that's why I made the motion.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if a situation would arise that would necessitate remote discussion or online discussion in the future, it could be added even if a motion or if an issue had to be tabled to a future meeting, correct?
Yes,
Can be brought back at any time.
yes, we'd have to, what we could do is call a special meeting and reinstitute.
Or reinstitute for the next month
Correct.
at a board meeting, so. Really, we're just talking about letting it go until a situation necessitates it.
That's accurate.
And is this a motion that I'm saying that we not do this? Are we saying that there's no phone call in as well? You must show up.
That's correct.
The teleconferencing includes telephones,
Under,
speakerphones as well, right?
right, under
Okay.
AB 361, there was a lot of changes to how board meetings could be held. And so if we don't reauthorize AB 361, then what would be, what the board would be saying is that everything would be in person. If there was something more that wanted to be added another time, as far as recording and production, that could be done.
So we're talking about, like, you're talking about presentations like we had today, us trustees, of course, and so on. We're here in person with that, but if you have the public in general, maybe not everybody wants to or can make it here. But it's useful that they can watch a stream or solicit, public interaction while that's going.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Of somebody who would know, how many people participate live? On average,
We haven't had over 4 people sent in this school year online
One time or total?
at one time.
I don't know if
I hear I see where you're going.
I don't know that the return on investment is worth our time and energy and effort and all the things that we do. I think it throws off continuity of what we're doing when we got to stop and check to make sure that I just feel like show up. That's I'm.
As long as we're being transparent, that's the.
I guess I'm being transparent.
Nothing like the same thing, how many?
So I'm sorry, we've already taken public comment. I apologize.
No, you're all right.
Thanks.
Right, so do we do the roll call? I don't.
Is there any further board
Keep that in
comment?
mind, if it necessitates something that we need to address again, then we address it then. And if that's the case, then I would second your motion to remove the necessity of this, to cancel, to not reauthorize the teleconference for 6 weeks.
I believe Carla may have done that.
Second.
But. Yeah, I don't think I have any more to add about it.
I just want to make sure we kind of talked and understood, kind of where that went, and not knowing the very beginnings of when it happened and how that was. That helps me understand that. And then with the return on investment, not a lot of people coming in, maybe that need isn't really there. And if it does go there, then we can address it then.
The 4 people that it affects, we can.
Any more
I think
board
we-
comment? Right. Cindy, roll call vote?
Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett
Aye.
and trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item E, adopt school accountability report cards for Sonora High School, Dario Casino High School, and Ted Bird High School. The recommended motion is to approve the reports as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, trustee Bull.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Arnett. Any public comment? Not hearing any. Board comment? Not hearing any. Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett,
Aye.
trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item F, approve the 2022-23 Career Tech Education Advisory Committee members. The CTE Advisory Committee proposes the listed members for the 22-23 school year. The recommended motion is to approve the committee members as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move it.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Joel. Public comment? Not hearing any. Board comment? Not hearing. Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Wheeler.
Yes.
Trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett,
Aye.
trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item G, adopt new course of study education pathway. This new course of study will provide proficiency to students who wish to be employed immediately after high school as a paraprofessional, as well as prepare and support those that would like to continue on to receive a teaching credential. The recommended motion is to adopt the course of study as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I move to, accept as presented.
Thank you, trustee
Second that.
Arnett.
I second that.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler. Any public comment? Not hearing any. Board comment? Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Wool. Aye. Trustee Arnett
Aye.
and trustee Scott. Aye. Motion carries. Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item H, adopt a new course of study, Fitness for Life. This new course of study will provide students with an opportunity to continue their fitness throughout their high school career. That is an alternative to traditional weights and conditioning course. It will focus on yoga, Pilates, spin, Tabata, body toning, and sculpting through weight-bearing exercises. This course will provide students useful tools and techniques that they will use long after high school and in real-world settings. The recommended motion is to adopt the course of study as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I motion that.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Bull. Any public comment? Not hearing any. Board comment? Hearing none. Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett,
Aye.
trustee Scott. Aye. Motion carries. Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item I, adopt new course of study, team sports. This course of study will develop and enhance skills and knowledge necessary to play and enjoy a variety of team sports. This course will develop the fundamentals of team sports so that students can participate for a lifetime and can enhance their fitness through competitive and recreational play. The recommended motion is to adopt the course of study as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I motion that.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Arnett. Any public comment? Not hearing any. Board comment?
I have a question. Is this a redesignation of existing teams being established as physical education, or is this a new pathway for getting PE credit?
It is, would be elective PE credit, not required for graduation PE credit.
Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler,
Yes.
trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett
Aye.
and trustee Scott. Aye. Motion carries. Superintendent Pelfrey.
Item J, approve resolution 2223-19, exception to the CalPERS 180-day wait period. State of California is experiencing a shortage of school bus drivers. The retiring director of transportation is agreeable to come back as a substitute bus driver. This resolution allows the retired employee and district to waive the required 180-day waiting period for hiring the retired employee to be employed as a substitute school bus driver until a permanent bus driver is hired. The recommended motion is to approve the resolution as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I move that.
Thank you, trustee Wheeler. Thank you, trustee Bull. Any public comment?
As the interim director of transportation, I thank you for that.
Any board comment? Not hearing any.
You're welcome.
Cindy, roll call vote, please. Trustee Wheeler.
Yes.
Oh, no. Trustee Bull. Aye. Trustee Arnett
Aye.
and trustee Scott. Aye. Motion approved. All right, our future agenda items. Superintendent Pelfrey, do we have any public comment on future agenda items?
It's not appear that we have any public comment.
All right, is there any additional comment? Not hearing any board comment? All right, we are adjourned.